Right, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Waharaka Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and other like-minded elders in Israel that teach well, by whom I learn this truth for the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Shalom Barakim, and to the hopeful elect, House of David, brothers and sisters scattered throughout the four corners, doing their due diligence in all truth and sincerity. Citation to the Akim, also laboring, ministering week in, week out, their body as a living sacrifice unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, in all truth and sincerity. This is the brother Daniela, and this is a quick post that one of the brothers just sent me. And yeah, it's a spirit too, because I believe it was about 4 or 5 days ago, I did a lesson going into military drafts and conscription, And, brothers have been going into these lessons. There's nothing new that brothers ain't been bringing out through the spirit, because we're entering into the midst of Ww3, right? The third war, right? That book of Revelation speaks about, right? That the second war was past and the third war cometh quickly, right? And Ww3 is already started, man. It's just that, we're not in the thick of it yet to when those nukes are flying, right? But it's just a bit of information whether the Akim sent me concerning these military drafts, right, over here in the UK. So I want to bring it out, and Lord willing, this bit of news, or this bit of news I'm bringing out, is edifying. And this is on Sky News. It says British citizens should be trained and equipped to fight in a potential war with Russia, military chiefs say. And it says British citizens. So this is evading to being drafted, man, right? It says General Sir Patrick Sanders has warned members of the British public they may have to be called up to fight in the event of war because the military is too small, right? Because now more than ever, you have less people more than ever now signing up to the military, man. And that's because really, a lot of people are seeing through the government's bullshit, right? And seeing that really, the causes that this nation are fighting for are not really worth fighting for, man. Especially having helped out America over and over again in times where they've gone into Iraq or they've gone into Afghanistan, for all the wrong reasons, right? People are starting to realize that. That's why you don't have as many youth signing up or being conscripted to the military, right? So because the numbers are dwindling, right, we're entering into the time now where, hey man, a major military draft's about to happen, man. And not just over here in the UK either, right? We see over there in Babylon in the US that Joe Schmo, JB over there, is letting all these immigrants in, right, across the border. Then immigrants flying from, or traveling from China, South America, Africa even, right? And all of these, what should I say, a majority of these migrants that are coming over to Babylon in America, even over here in the UK to a degree too, right? A lot of them are of military age, right? And a lot of them are males too, where you're talking from the age of 18 to 20, up to 30 to 35, man. And that's because the American government are going to use these men to fight in the military, man. Right? So Joe Schmo, he knows exactly what he's doing. And like I say, it's happening over here on a smaller scale. Like me, myself, I've even seen an influx of, Ukrainian nationals, because they we started, when that war started popping off over there in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. The UK, Britain, has been housing a lot of these Ukrainian refugees, right? And a lot of these, and they're talking about letting in, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the number's like up to 10 or 20,000 refugees from where? From Palestine too. They're talking about letting them in. And you can bet your bottom dollar that it's more than likely going to be a lot of military age men. Why? Because they're going to end up using these men to fight in the military, man. Right? They be giving them incentives and shit. JB, Joe Schmo be giving them what? They be setting them up with a nice accommodation, giving them free money every month, and decent amounts of money at that, So I've heard, right? And these are incentives for these men to travel over to those countries. So what? So that they can fight in the military. They've been given personal ID cards and stuff like that. Right? So we know what's going on. You know, we know what's going on through the spirit, but majority of people don't, right? And because the majority of people have not been watching, they'd have no clue, right, of the times we're in and the times we're entering into, right? A lot of people are going to be drafted, like I touched on in my last lesson about military drafts, man. Especially a lot of your sons and daughters. Yes, your sons and daughters, right? Equal rights and all that, right? So it says, General Sir Patrick Sanders has warned the members of the British public that they may have to be called up to fight in the event of a war because the military is too small. And this is something that's it's not new. It's happened before, like I was touching on that lesson during World War One, and during World War Two. What men were what? They were drafted, they were conscripted. Meaning what? There was a mandatory military service that had to be done, man. Same thing in America, right? Same thing in a majority of nations across the world right now. And I went into some of the list of the nations and the countries that have a mandatory military call up. Uh, you know, and there's a lot of countries, man. A lot of countries. I even saw a clip the other day, a couple of days back, and you had the Ukrainian military, right? They were going onto public transport, pulling men off the bus, man. Basically telling them they had to go and fight. And these men weren't going willingly either. But this is how bad it is out there now, to where they taking out people out their home to go and fight, whether you want to or not. And guess what? That's coming here, man. That's coming to Babylon, right? Whether you believe it or not, right? It says British citizens should be trained and equipped to fight a potential war with Russia, as Moscow plans on defending our system and way of life. The head of the British Army said this, General Sir Patrick Sanders, and this is the guy here. This is the head. It says the head of the British Army, General Sir Patrick Sanders, the outgoing chief of the General Staff, right, CGS, said increasing army numbers in preparation for a potential conflict would need to be whole of nation undertaking. So basically, these devils want the whole nation to fight, man. They want everyone to fight in that day. They want everyone to, pick up their pruning hooks and turn them into swords in that day, their plowshares, right? It says preparation for a potential conflict would need to be a whole of nation undertaking. The comments, first reported by Daily Telegraph, are being read as warning that British men and women should be ready for the call up to the armed forces if NATO goes to war with Vladimir Putin. So like I say, we're coming into the times now where expect a letter through your door or a notice through your door talking about, hey, you're gonna have to go and fight, man, for your country, right? And we know that's gonna cause a lot of stir up, because you're gonna have many people that ain't gonna want to go and do it, man. And again, like I was touching on that last lesson I was doing about military conscription, that basically if you're not willing to go and serve your country, it's punishable by what? It's punishable legally, man. It's punishable legally. It comes after Defense Secretary Gary Grant Shapps said in a speech last week that we are moving from a post-war to pre-World War, right? And the UK must ensure its entire defense ecosystem is ready to defend its homeland. Can't even put the things in place to withhold a small ass storm, man. Let alone defend the whole nation, man. Absolute joke, right? So it says, but Downing Street ruled out any more towards a conscription model, right? Saying that the army services remain voluntary, right? And yeah, that's as for now. But guess what? As the heat gets cranked up, right? And they start to become desperate, because they will, right? Because at the end of the day, this is all prophecy being fulfilled, right? And we know what it's leading up to, right? And like we say, man, this world war is going to be the war to end all wars, and everyone's involved in this one, right? So it says, but down the street ruled out any more towards a conscription model, meaning a mandatory draft, right? Meaning you have to go and fight, right? So saying that the army services remain voluntary. So Sir Patrick had been a vocal critic of cuts to troop numbers and military spending, right? So this actual guy that's now warning, you Brits that, hey, you might have to send your sons and daughters to war, man. You might have to go to war yourself if you're of, military age and capable, man. He was actually what? He said been a critical voice of military cuts and spending. So now it's the same man that's been a part of cutting down the numbers, right, to the British military, is now talking about, hey, we might have to, you know, we need some more people. We need some more personnel, basically, right? It says in his speech at the International Armored Vehicles Conference in West London, he said the UK must urgently expand the size of the army to around 120,000 within 3 years, up from around 74,000 right now, right? Which is what? That's a 50. That's basically like a 55,000. Let's just say 54,000 troops they're gonna need, right? And it says, and he said UK must urgently expand it. Yeah, because this war is an impending war, man. The law's speeding up the days, right? And before you know it, we're gonna be in the midst of this third war, man. Right? We're gonna be in the midst of this third war. Right? It's gonna be popping off over here too, as much as it's popping off over there in other places in the world right now. Whether that be over there in, like I say, in Ukraine, over there in Palestine, in Israel, over there in Yemen, over there in Africa, man. You got Sudan, places like Sudan. You got the Congolese going through it right now, man. And at some point, that's the thing about British people too, right? At some point, it is gonna hit on your doorstep, man. Because over here, British people are very proud, right? And they're in the same spirit as the Babylonians over there in America that think that they can't be touched, or the trouble won't enter their home, right? But guess what, man? Expect an impending conscription, man, for you, your sons and your daughters, right? Because what do they say? They're saying that the UK must urgently expand the size of its army, right, by at least 50,000, right, in 3 years, they say, right? Which, through the spirit, I don't believe, it's got that long, and Lord willing, it ain't, because we trying through the spirit, man. We hoping the Lord set this thing off this year, man. Right? It says, but he said it is not enough, and my training and equipping a citizen army must follow. Right? A citizen army, right? They're talking about a citizen army, so they don't just want to a military draft and conscription. They want to train the actual British citizens, man. In some way, shape, or form, because they want everyone to fight, and that's why I say that everyone's involved. I've been saying it, man. Brothers have been saying it. This World War III we're entering into, right? This third war, everyone's involved, whether you like it, believe it, accept it or not. Right? They're talking about a citizen army, and I should see if I could research something on that. He says he pointed to this happening across Europe, telling the audience, our friends in Eastern and Northern Europe who feel that the proximity of the Russian threat more acutely are already acting prudently, laying the foundations for national mobilization. Right? It says, as for the chairman of NATO military committee warned just last week, right? Yeah, because what was the chairman of NATO military saying last week? He was saying basically that people are gonna have to start preparing themselves, man. They're gonna have to start stockpiling certain things, whether that be water, torches, I believe he said, right? And certain other medial things that you may need to last, what is it, the first 36 hours, of an EMP attack and a nuclear threat, man. You're saying there's certain things that people need to have in play, man, to survive just the first 36 hours if you haven't got a bunker or military bunker. And we know people are buying up bunkers like nothing right now, right? People are buying up bunkers like nothing right now. You had that idiot, Rick Ross, talking about, he's building his bunker, right? As Jake for you, man. As people in general, they think that they can escape the judgment of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, man. When it's the Lord that's bringing these plagues, these pestilences, these wars, man. It's the Lord that's controlling all these things, man. Right? And you niggas, man, like niggas like Rick Ross, because that's what he is, he's a nigger, man. He's thinking that he's gonna escape judgment, man, by having his little bunker, right? It says, as the chairman of NATO military committee warned just last week, and as the Swedish government have done, right, taking preparatory steps to enable placing our societies on a war footing when needed are now not merely desirable but essential. See? So for all you scoffers, man, that been saying, even today at the plantation, right, working for this Edomite, and real Edomite, real, top tier Edomite, right? You'd be listening to LBC radio all day, hear him talking about the war and the things that are going on over there in the Middle East on the phone all day long, right? And I posed the question to him today, does he think that we go enter into, a nuclear war? And to be honest, I kind of knew the answer he was going to give, because I've asked a few Edomites that question, and they're in that spirit of, of denial and wishful thinking. So they say no, right? Well, we know, it's biblical prophecy, man, that these nukes are not just for show, man. They gonna actually been used. They gonna be shot from one end of the earth to the other, and ultimately they gonna destroy Babylon, which is America, right? So when he says no, that's just wishful thinking, right? Because these Edomites don't want to lose their kingdom, right? So it says NATO military committee warned just last week, and the Swedish government had taken preparatory steps to enable placing our societies on a war footing when needed are now not merely desirable but essential, right? It said Sir Patrick added, we will not be immune, and as the pre-war generation, we must similarly prepare, and that is a whole of nation undertaking, right? And guess what? You got nations like North Korea, China. They've been preparing for these things. Russia, right? They've been preparing for these things, man. Right? That's why they got their youth preparing for it in schools, even, right? If you go and look at a North Korean or Chinese school, elementary school, you go and see the things they got their children preparing for, man. Right? And that's why we know that, that's how we know the pride of Esau, have deceived him, man. He thinks he's got all the time in the world. Right now he's running, he's scrimping and scraping. He's scrimping and scraping around the place, man, When these other nations they've been preparing for these things, man. They already have a setup, right? It says, we will not be immune as the pre-war generation, right? And the pre-war games have been going on, man. Like I say, the show of force, the show of might. Go and look at North Korea. Go and look at China. Go and look at Russia. Go and look at their pre-war game, military might. Show, get your nuts out. What they call it, propaganda videos, man. These other nations are ready for war, man. And it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. The Lord's setting this up beautifully, man. Everything is falling into place beautifully. And that's the thing. That's why we rejoice in these things, and being man the Lord winning with those men. Hey, the Lord have given us this foresight, man. He's given us the understanding of the scriptures to where now we're able to measure the time, right? Because what we're also watching, and we've been watching, from the elders and apostles and the other elders on down, man. Brothers have been watching for decades now, for years now, man. Been telling you people these things were about to come, and you scoffed, you mocked, you didn't believe it. Now we're living in those days, man. Now we're living in those days to where, guess what? You're gonna have to fight. If you're able-bodied, man, and capable, you're gonna have to actually fight your damn self, man. Right? It says Ukraine brutally illustrates that regular armies start war, citizen armies wins them. Right? And that's why I was saying that I saw that clip the other day in Ukraine where they were dragging men off the buses, man, you know, and enrolling them, conscripting them into the military, whether they liked it or not. Same thing, they were doing out there in Israel with the college students, right? Because I believe anyway it's mandatory. You have to serve in the Israeli army if you're a teen anyway for a certain amount of time, a certain amount of years, if I'm not mistaken. You know, same thing within a lot of nations, like I mentioned. You know, military conscription and service is compulsory. You know, just growing up in that country, right? I know a few Polish guys. Right? I've worked with a few Polish guys. They've also had to come up through some sort of level of military training or services in their life. Mandatory, right? And that's not pushed over here or in Babylon. It's more of a what? It's more of a what's the word I'm looking for? It's more of a voluntary thing, man. Right? And that's gonna make these nations less ready, less fit to fight these wars, man. Right? And that's how we know, man. Hey, Babylon the Great is about to have, you know, a real bad fall, man. But let me finish this up. It says Sir Patrick added that the Ukraine was currently the principal pressure point on a fragile world order that our enemies wish to dismantle. He continued, the war in Ukraine is not merely about the black soil of the Donbass, Salakia, nor the re-establishment of the Russian Empire. It is more about defeating our system and our way of life politically, physiologically, and symbolically. Yeah, because Russia is not for their turning, man. They're not into this, you know, this alphabet bullshit. You know, they have actually some sort of level of decency within their hierarchy in their government, man, to a degree, you know, compared to Babylon, compared to UK, compared to the rest of Europe, right? They're not as free when it comes to wickedness, man, right? It says how we respond as the pre-war generation will reverberate through history. Ukrainian bravery is buying time for now. Right? It says Sir Patrick also said that our predecessors stumbled into the most ghastly of wars after failing to perceive the implications of the so-called July crisis in 1914, referring to a series of diplomatic and military escalations leading to the outbreak of the First World War. We cannot afford to make the same mistake, he added. Sir Patrick will be replaced as CGS in June by General Sir Rowley Walker, an announcement that followed reports he was being forced out in response to his outspoken comments. Let's see if we can play.
The truth is, you're telling people the world is scary, but you're not providing the resources to protect us. And that 50 billion you referred to is around about 2.5% of GDP. Others think that that number, including Dannett, should be around about 3%. You're way short of what you should be spending.
So let me, just for accuracy, let me correct a couple of things there. We're not at 2.5% yet. We're comfortably above 2%, and our pledge
I was being generous to you.
No, and I don't want to overtake credit on this, as it were. So, but we are pledged to, when conditions allow, get to 2.5%. That's right. The size of the army, as you said, in Lord Dannett's time, would have been over 100,000. It's not projected to go down to 50,000. It's actually specifically to 73,000 plus the reserves. The third thing to say
that's next year, but by 2027...
No. Our plan is 73,000, not lower. That is our plan. But
So just to be clear, you are saying that under the Conservative watch, the size of the army is not going to fall below 73,000.
That's correct. The plan is actually for 73,000 plus the reserves. But I often find, and I've noted it a lot since I did this job, when you start to talk about the armed forces, people often revert to talking about the army as opposed to the Air Force and the Navy, and of course the much wider structure, which includes things like cyber and space and many other defensive elements to it. The size of the overall armed forces is, I think, 189,000 right now.
Right, so you can see that the numbers are dwindling over here in the UK, man. Right? It's the one I wanted to play.
If if we go to war with
what these
Russia,
devils are saying.
we could find that our youth may have to be conscripted. That's a bit alarming.
Yes, head of the British Army, one of the most cerebral thinkers that we've got, a strategist. We need to listen and listen carefully. We've been too complacent. I think I've said this many times with you. What's coming over the horizon should shock us. It should worry us, and we are not prepared. We've had a couple of decades, 3 decades or so since the Cold War. Life has gone well. It's now going to get more difficult as authoritarian states exploit our timidity, our perhaps reluctance to really put fires out. And the best example of that is a democracy on the corner of Eastern Europe that in its 3rd year is now in conflict, and we've not resolved that. So Patrick Saunders is saying, prepare for what's coming over the horizon. There is a 1939 feel to the world right now. These authoritarian states are rearming. There's a risk averseness about the West in wanting to deal with that. And institutions, global institutions such as the United Nations, aren't able to hold these errant nations to account. In fact, the UN, I would go further, is reaching its League of Nations moment unless it's reformed. So that's where the world is heading. We need to wake up to that. There's a mindset now of this era of insecurity that we're heading towards, but we're still on a peacetime defense budget of just 2%. That does need to change. And the Red Sea is a great example that if you don't step forward, if you're not robust in dealing with those that are testing the envelope, it will be our weakness will be exploited, and it will affect our economy.
Yeah, man, and these other nations have sinned through your bullshit, Esau, man. They've sinned through your bullshit. Now the weak are now saying that they're strong. Now you got these lesser nations that that have joined onto the BRICS. Right, the BRICS nations, man. Hey, now they flexing their muscles too. Because why? Because hey, like it reads in the book of Obadiah, man, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, man. Been good over here in the UK for what 30 years, he said, since the Cold War. Right. But guess what, man? Hey, prophecy is coming to pass, man. The Lord's doing exactly what he said he would do. And that's why these devils are now getting desperate. And that's how we know as well that we're about to enter into the midst of Jacob's trouble real soon, man. Because this devil's about to start coming down with great wrath. I mean, he's just showing the tips of his horns right now. But you're right, this devil's about to reveal his whole head, man. Why? Because he's desperate, man. Desperate times call for desperate measures, man. So that's why these devils are gonna start to come down with great wrath soon, right? So expect your military call up. Expect your military conscription letter, man. Right? Lord willing, the Heavenly Father continue to hasten the days, man. And that, hey, there's so much going on right now, man. Like we keep saying, it's so hard to keep up with everything, But hey, through the spirit and power, Yahweh Shem Shai, we're gonna continue to keep our eyes open, continue to watch, man. Right, and measure the time, right? And Lord willing, the Heavenly Father continue to push this thing forward, man. Right? Because we know by tomorrow we're gonna hear some more shit popping off, man. Right? It's all going off right now, man. And brothers are bringing out this information. Brothers are bringing out these news articles. Hey, the Wadi Bashim Yahushai for waking us up to this truth, man. And may the Lord keep the spirit on us to keep pushing, to keep plowing, to keep watching, man. So with that, I'm going to leave it there. Give all praises, all honor, all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Waha Rakah Kodash. Shalom to the elect.